Hello, and what is going on, everybody? It is Master of the TDS, and I am joined by my lovely wife,
Riding Raven.
And we're back for another episode of Psycho-Synopsis.
Yep.
The segment where we summarize all the Psycho for you. Just a scattering of topics throughout the week, all summarized in one neat little package for those of you who don't have the time to watch other videos, or just because you want to.
You're welcome.
Yeah, we did not have a video last week. We were busy. We had a live stream instead because of some Doctor Who news, which kind of derailed our regular video.
Yeah, but with the news that did come out, we had to go live on it.
If you're curious what that news is, we won't be covering that necessarily here, but you can go check out the video. It should be called The Wake of Doctor Who. Mm-hmm. You can go check that out. That said, though, we have a bunch of topics to cover, so we're gonna jump straight in.
And to begin with, we will be discussing our first client, Twitter's new terms of service.
Now, this is already a little bit of an older news, but, we decided that we wanted to cover it anyways for, because it's interesting. As you said, and stay dead. Under our private information policy, you can't share the following types of private information or media without the permission of the person who it belongs to. Basically, they made it so that they can basically choose anybody who has an image or an image out there who doesn't want their public image to be shown, they're a private person, they can have the image removed.
When people literally have their own faces as their profile pictures.
That, and also, you have to understand that a lot of things incorporate real images. News. Now, they said that for mainstream news, that they won't do anything, which we all know means that people who report the news...
The real news.
Won't actually be able to do so, or will be able to have their videos removed. It also protects, unfortunately, predators and other people who don't want people to know who they actually are. Jack Dorsey, the head of Twitter, stepped down. He resigned, and this new person came in. I don't know his name, and I wouldn't be able to pronounce it even if I wanted to.
Yeah.
But he's already making these changes, and honestly, here's the thing when it comes to Twitter for me. I like Twitter because it's for a couple reasons. 1, promotion. 2, to keep in touch with people who I actually like to talk to and, friends. 3, to discuss and get kind of news. I know you have to sift through the news, but I like being able to get it kind of right away. And the last thing is making fun of idiots.
That last part is the most fun.
Well, when you're careful. But yes. I can understand. So to me, as much as I wouldn't be like jumping up and down if Twitter got taken down, I'm also not going to care if it does. Now, it never will, mind you. But I do think this is going to cause a lot of people to leave to alternate tech platforms.
Yep.
You can actually now find me on Minds. You can find me on Minds under Master of TDS. I'm now on there. I'm not posting there as much. I'll be honest, I should post more on alternate tech. I don't, and that's something that I am aware of. But, as I said, it's enough doing one platform at a time.
Yeah, and you have an extremely busy schedule lately.
Yeah, but I wouldn't be upset if people left Twitter. I don't think they're going to. I don't think this is going to stop what Twitter wants. I feel like this is just another way that Twitter's putting things out and whatever, like similar to how YouTube got rid of the dislikes, where they're protecting bigger people and organizations, because if someone posts a meme making fun of somebody and that person's like, I'm a private person and I don't like this being out there, meme gets deleted.
Sigh.
It's just kind of sad that we live in a world now where it's okay for this to happen, and it will not be enforced fairly. We all know this.
It never is.
Now, we're not going to get into the whole political side of it.
Yeah, we hate politics.
Well, we try not to cover politics, at least in that much. We don't hate them necessarily, but we try to be kind of neutral if we can.
Yeah.
But I don't think this is a policy that anybody wanted. I think that its potential for abuse has already been shown. And look, if it means more people leave Twitter, cool. If not, I'm still going to be there for reasons, just to kind of be there. But if it ever, one day I wake up and, they do something crazy and it goes down and I have to move to a different platform, I'm not going to go cry, not going to shed tears,
Yeah.
So it is what it is.
Yes. Let's move on to our next client. Zorro.
Okay, so Zorro 2.0 turns the swashbuckling vigilante into a hacker. Zorro is back. The legendary masked vigilante is set to return in a Zorro 2.0, a high-tech take on the swashbuckling classic. And as you can see, I gave Zorro a giant L instead of a Z.
And it already sounds like it's going to suck.
Now look, have alternate takes on films worked before? For example, the best example I can think of is Jumanji.
Oh, yeah.
So, is it possible that making him an internet hacker will be something that'll actually be interesting?
Yes, if done well.
Yeah, but my thought about this is, look, I will wait and see. Why?
I mean, they technically already did that with like a 2010 cartoon in which Zorro is a teenager taking up the mantle of his grandfather, and he works behind the scenes with his best friend who's a mute techno geek.
I've never heard of this, but...
It was pretty good.
Look, the thing is, I don't understand... Let me rephrase that. I do understand why we keep rebooting franchises and stuff, because Hollywood has no ideas. What I don't understand is why we have to change things that people liked a certain way. If you want to make something new, make something new. If you want to make a thing about a hacker who leaves a calling sign and calls himself Zorro, why does he even have to be related to this Zorro at all?
The cartoon I mentioned did it well.
Yes, but it doesn't have to be related to Zorro.
True.
They literally are pulling the name up because they want people's attention. That's the whole reason. There's zero... This is not at all... The guy's not going to wear a hat like that or have a sword. He's literally going to be an online hacker. So he literally, if you rename the movie, you would never know it was related to Zorro.
I think they're making it more like V for Vendetta.
Regardless, I'm just not a fan of them taking popular franchises and whatever and trying to remake them and, like, changing them. Again, as I said, it has worked with Jumanji and other things. But honestly, like, I don't see a point in this. Maybe they'll do it well. Maybe I'll be pleasantly surprised. Maybe I'll be talking about this later on and I'll be like, wow, this was a great movie.
Surprising. But I don't have high hopes.
Yeah, with Hollywood, I never do. I find it's best to come into things with low hopes. That way, when it's
bad, you're not disappointed?
When it's bad, I'm not disappointed because at least it wasn't as bad as I thought. And when it's subpar, it seems actually decent.
And then there are things like Ghostbusters Afterlife.
Which are great, but we talk enough about that.
Next client. Nicolas Cage potentially playing Dracula.
So, no! Not the teeth! Nick Cage is taking a break from the challenging and often horrific indie films that he's been undertaking as of late, like Pig and Mandy, to take on a more classical kind of horror.
From what we have heard, there is a new movie called Renfield coming. Renfield is the name of Count Dracula's human servant back in the book, who was an inmate in an asylum who had a disorder of eating living creatures. Think, there was an old lady who swallowed a fly, but he was actually eating all those things.
I'm sorry, I'm gonna interject here and say I have never made that analogy or connection before.
Oh no, I have, because first he's catching flies, then he uses spiders to catch the flies and eats the spiders. Then he trains a bird to eat the spiders and then eats the birds, and then he asks for a cat to eat the bird so that he can eat the cat. That's what happened to the book.
But why not he just go and eat the cat?
Because the doctor didn't let him have one, so he ended up eating the birds himself and got himself sick from eating raw meat.
Okay.
Renfield was a good human character who was actually insane, and I liked him. But Nick Cage is not being looked at to play Renfield. He's being looked at to play Count Dracula, which I personally think is a horrible idea.
Now, here's the thing. I like Nicolas Cage. I know it might be shocking, but I like his movies, and some of those movies, like, for example, National Treasure 1 and 2, pretty good, decent, not amazing, but I like him. I do understand his acting skills are subpar sometimes.
Understatement.
Based on what you've said, I do think he would be a good casting for Renfield.
I agree completely. He does crazy really well, as we have seen.
But at the same time, and this is where we differ, I could also see him playing a Dracula. I'm not saying he's the best choice, but for example, Into the Spider-Verse, where he played Spider-Man Noir. Very edgy, dark version of Spider-Man. Now, that worked because he could literally just play Nicolas Cage.
Yeah, he literally just had to be his own voice, and he was perfect for Spider-Man Noir.
Yeah, but, I mean, it's possible that we'll be pleasantly surprised. As my wife says, she doesn't think it's the best casting, and I think there are definitely better people that could have been cast as Dracula.
Oh, absolutely, like Johnny Depp.
Yeah, we'll never cast him.
I know, but they already used Gary Oldman back in 1991, so I don't think they're gonna call Gary Oldman back.
Yeah, and look, I don't really understand why they're making, a Renfield movie. Look, it sounds interesting.
One thing that I am afraid of is that they're going to be making Renfield a woman, and having him/her be the one behind all of Count Dracula's deeds. When Renfield was literally an asylum inmate who helped Dracula by merely inviting him into the madhouse.
Yeah, so Hollywood people listening, this is not an invitation for you to use this. This is my wife's thoughts, and if you try to take them, we'll know where you got them from.
Sorry, but this is coming from someone who has read the classic, uncut, unabridged version of Bram Stoker's original novel. My copy was printed back in 1968. Or 61, I don't remember. No, it was 1965. The copy I have was printed back in 1965. Completely unabridged. I know what I'm talking about. I've read it cover to cover. Anything you do that is different from the original in this regard, though I will say Dracula Untold is a pretty good take on it, you will not get it past me. Basically, if you want a good take on Count Dracula, read my book on Wattpad. My co-authored book.
Yeah.
Go read my co-authored novel about Count Dracula's children on Wattpad. Go.
I'll be honest, I'm intrigued. Because I'm intrigued in a way like I'm curious to see how they try to make this work. Whether it works or not, that's a side point. But I'm curious.
I guess. But I would prefer he be Renfield.
No, I agree with you, but I'm saying I'm curious how they make this work.
Well, if they do cast him as Dracula, he will never reach the level of Bela Lugosi and Christopher Lee. May they both rest in peace.
Of course not. But with the right writer and the right director, they might be able to get pretty good. You never know. I mean, if they give him the right lines and the right, and they take the time, they might actually be able to make him do a decent approximation of Dracula. I'm not saying perfect, but you never know. I'm curious to see how this works.
Let's wait and see.
All I can think of is blood, not the butts, not the butts. Oh.
I think you mean the garlic flowers, which they're probably going to use actual garlic cloves, when in the book it clearly says it's the flower.
Okay, honey.
We should probably move on before I go insane.
Didn't you already do that?
Good point.
I live with you.
We should...
No, back.
Let's move on. Our next client is Superman. Again.
Who could have foreseen this?
Oh no! Anyway.
Superman just suffers a devastating blow in the current Warworld saga, as Mongol might have killed the hero. Will Kal-El make it out alive? Probably not.
Yeah. From what we can understand, they're killing him off so they can make his son the new official Superman.
Shout out to Ethan Van Sciver for reporting on this.
Hail the human sunbeam.
But he basically mentioned how they're losing the copyright to a lot of these characters, and so they kind of have to juggle things and whatever, and they were going to do this. And Superman had already been weakened by a red sun or whatever. I don't know. I don't keep track of these comics anymore. I would have to actually care enough to read them.
True.
But this was something that everybody saw coming. And obviously, as the image is DC just going, who could have foreseen this?
All of us.
Everybody with
Seriously.
a brain.
Seriously.
Now, I honestly don't think there's a reason they need to get rid of Superman. I understand that if they, are losing copyright, whatever, they could just say so.
Yeah, why don't they just say so? Are they too afraid to admit it or something?
Well, they're using it as an opportunity to change things. But here's what I think. I think fans would be a lot more welcoming to things and whatever if you had mentioned that was the reason first. But honestly, I don't care. I'm not reading the comics. I think that they've messed up Superman enough. And yes, we really need Jonathan Kent to be the new Superman. Because with his intangible boyfriend that I'm sure will stay around and not disappear because in the future Jonathan Kent totally doesn't have children, which we've been already confirmed that actually he does, which would mean that he actually married a woman, and therefore this whole arc is completely useless. Just throwing that out there.
They conveniently forgot that because they're terrible at, continuity.
And everything, pretty much. Mm-hmm. But am I surprised? No.
Not at all.
Do I care? Not really.
No.
Are we reporting on it anyways? Yeah, because, we've been... As I said, when it comes to certain things, we're chronicling their demise. And it's like, oh my goodness, Superman got stabbed? Who could have foreseen this? Except literally everybody, because you literally didn't hide it.
Not at all.
It's like you put on a billboard advertising and then went why aren't people surprised? Maybe because you made it very, very clear.
You guys are really bad at this.
Here's what I have to say to you people, including Tom Taylor, the person who's writing Jonathan Kent, who's blocked me on Twitter when I've never spoken to him, nor commented on Superman before he was already blocked me.
It was probably a blockchain.
Yeah, why don't you go back to pretending that you are getting threats and doxxed, and I'm sure people are bad about, certain people are doing that, and those people I don't condone. But why don't you go back to making false claims and getting caught with your pants down?
Ouch.
Don't worry, I'm sure you can have Superman help them go back up, unless, of course, he wants to keep them down for other reasons. Because your Superman likes to have some extracurricular activities that are a little bit different than the usual, right?
Oof. Ouch. Next client? Favreau and Filoni.
Live-action Clone Wars. Think about it. 2 different scoopers are claiming that both Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni, the creative team behind Lucasfilm's The Mandalorian and The Book of Boba Fett, are in talks to begin making Star Wars movies.
This could be good.
Yeah, but here's the thing. I'll be 100% honest with you here. I really don't care anymore.
Yeah.
I don't care. I don't.
Apparently there is a rumor that the Kenobi series is going to feature live-action flashbacks of the Clone Wars.
That's not a terrible thing.
No, not at all, if it's done well.
We're talking about this because it is something that's, interesting and whatever. The sources of which, one of which being Grace Randolph, who also has me blocked on Twitter. You disagree with someone one time and that's enough for her to block you because reasons.
Yeah, she's weird.
Grace Randolph, if you ever watch this, I'm really sorry I told you the truth and you didn't want to hear it. So!
I was about to do that!
I don't care. I'm not going to be watching the Kenobi series. I don't really have any interest in Star Wars anymore. I've moved on. And I know people are like, but you moved on, but you're talking about it. Well, yeah, I'm talking about it because it was something that I loved and something that I still will show my children.
And it's content for our videos right now.
Yeah. But, if you're expecting me to watch the Book of Boba Fett or Kenobi, or that I'm going to be a hypocrite and do that, I don't have a Disney Plus subscription. We don't have it.
We haven't even seen Season 2 of The Mandalorian.
Yeah, and we again, I haven't seen anything Star Wars, no Star Wars Visions, no whatever, because I honestly don't have any interest, and I'm not going to support a company that decided to fire Gina Carano and literally still keeps around Pedro Pascal, and he said some pretty spicy things online, and yet somehow that's okay. I'm not advocating for cancel culture here.
No.
I'm simply pointing out that there's a hypocrisy going on here, and yes, have Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni been the best thing to come out of Disney Star Wars? Arguably, yes.
Yes.
Have they been perfect and respectful of the canon whenever? No.
Not necessarily. In some respects they have, but in other respects they haven't.
Exactly. But, if we're comparing it to the entirety of everything, have they been the best thing to come out of it? Yes.
So far, yeah.
But does that mean I have to bow down and praise them? No. I'm not going to. Because we all know who's behind it. It's the mouse.
Darth Kennedy. Hehehe.
Yeah, but cool. If true, yay. If false, okay.
Nah. Yeah, there's not that much to be excited about until we know more.
How interesting! Throws confetti. I'm so excited. Yay! I'm dying inside.
There, dear. Next client? The Hawkeye show.
So I said, what's the worst that can happen? This. A new report claims that Hawkeye had the worst performing premiere episode for a Marvel series on Disney+.
I am shocked! Shocked! Well, not that shocked.
So in other words, you could say that this time Hawkeye wasn't on target. But
Jinx.
As you can see on the right there, that is actually Kate Bishop. This is her in the show. And here's the thing. I do understand why Marvel is trying to push these characters into things, but I do not understand why they have this entire golden age of comics, and yet they're rushing to get this stuff out, thinking that it'll do well. And lo and behold, as we've mentioned multiple times, as the sales would have told them multiple times, it doesn't do well.
Not
Shocking.
at all. Not at all at all.
What? You mean the comics that didn't sell well and nobody liked, with the characters that nobody liked that we're pushing in the movies now? When we don't have any other characters people like, people still don't like?
Who could have foreseen this?
It's almost like logic.
Honey, they don't know what that means.
Yeah, I'm just pointing out to them. I'm saying that it's logic. If you guys make a show about a character that nobody really likes, and I'm not saying they didn't do a good job with this show, whatever. I haven't seen it. I've been told that they actually did a decent job making the character somewhat better than she is in the comics, because she is insufferable in the comics. But again, one thing I will say is, why does she have to be called Hawkeye? You could have called her Hawkess.
Or Eagle Eye.
or anything else, or Sparrow.
Or just plain Archer.
Yeah.
Anything.
But
just give her a new name.
But no, they had to take the Hawkeye because reasons. And again, I'm not that interested in this show. I have no interest in watching it. I was not very interested in the comics. And to be fair, I have read them. So again, anybody who's mad at me about what I'm saying about this, I've read the comics, so literally by your own logic, which I'm using just purely to dunk on you, by the way, with your own logic, I've read the comics, therefore my opinion matters more than yours.
Ouch.
Bullseye. Just call me Robin Hood. Except there's nothing to rob from you because you would have to actually make money for that to be a thing.
Ooh!
And look, is this going to do well? People are going to like it, whatever. Is it going to be decent? Fine, whatever. I don't care. I'm not interested. This seems boring. They're just making female characters take over from guys, but they're not at all likable, and they didn't do well in the comics, and you can tell me I'm wrong all you want, and give me numbers and whatever, but objectively, it didn't do well compared to other comics. You can cry, scream, and yell all you want, but it won't change facts. Facts are numbers, and the numbers are on my side. So, cry if you need to, but please don't do it around me.
Yeah.
But I don't think this is going to go over well for them. I honestly think that these MCU shows are meh.
Yeah.
I wish we had more like Daredevil or,
Daredevil and the Punisher were great.
And Jessica Jones was not bad as well.
First season of Luke Cage was okay.
I didn't mind all of them. I would gladly. I didn't finish them.
What about Iron Fist?
I'd take Iron Fist over this.
Yeah, me too.
I was actually curious. I was actually thinking like they left some loose ends in that show and they never finished them. So I would actually be curious.
Yep, I agree with you there. But our next client also has a lot to do with this. You want to say it?
No.
Lego? What the holy bleep are you doing here? I didn't want to say the word on air.
Yeah, because apparently that's totally relatable. You could read it there.
Bleh!
As the release of Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness dawns near, promo art for the film has leaked early. This piece offers the first look at the actress.
Hold on. It's an Aztec name. Xochitl.
Xochitl Gomez. I'm sorry, I don't mean to be mean, but that's a really strange name.
Or is it Xochitl? I forget how Aztec names are pronounced.
No idea, don't care. As America Chavez. A glimpse at a new villain.
And yeah.
And as you can see, okay, so I may have painstakingly gotten rid of the pixels to pull her out of her own thing, but I took her out of a comic panel and she actually says that I just changed the word from progeny to Lego.
Yeah. And if you look on the side of the box, it shows America Chavez. It looks like a boy. And also the Lego piece looks like it has a mustache.
And here's the thing. I want to make this super clear. First off, I'm not interested in Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, and I have my reasons for it. But, again, America Chavez is a character they tried to make work, and it didn't.
Not at all. They killed her off, actually, in that series, that arc where Doctor Doom took over the world.
I have no idea, and they brought her back.
Where there were a bunch of Thors.
Yeah, that was, I think, Weird World? Weird World.
Whichever it was, they killed her off in that.
I don't care. They were trying to bring her back, whatever. It's another example of a comic book hero that they've made to be more inclusive and diverse, and the sales of the comics aren't good.
They're abysmal.
So you continue to say that you're going to do this, whatever, and then you make characters that nobody likes in the comics, and you think, we'll make them work.
Even if you're making her come from another universe, it's still a bad idea.
How about using the Multiverse of Madness as a good opportunity to bring in Magique, or otherwise known as Colossus's sister from the X-Men who uses magic, who would have made sense for this movie instead of America Chavez.
Who you tried to bring in the New Mutants before you made that LGBT story.
Yeah, and...
Or you could have brought in Dr. Voodoo.
Either or. And it would have been a perfect opportunity to bring in the X-Men. Now, they may still do that.
I hope so.
But I don't care, honestly. As I said, I already had very little interest in this movie because of the behavior of people who were working on it. But now that I know that this person's actually going to be in it, literally what little interest I had left is gone.
Same.
Because, I'm sorry, as I'm pointing out, you'll see on the screen, she actually says this in a comic. Isn't it super relatable, honey? Don't you just relate to that character when she says words like that?
No.
Do you think that people are so relatable to this?
Because real women do not say that.
But you see, that would actually have to mean that Marvel would employ real women. And by real women, I mean not the crazy activist weirdos with different hair colors. I mean people who actually, connected with what women actually want.
You mean like me?
They only hire activists, let's be honest.
Yeah, that's true. Activists are not real people, let's put it that way.
But yes, go ahead. Please keep making these new characters that nobody liked in the comics. Add them into your things. See how well that works out for you. It's not going to work out well. It will not do well. The movie may actually make money because of Doctor Strange, but nobody cares about America Chavez or Ironheart or Miss Marvel or Hawkeye. We don't care.
Try taking the lesson from what happened with that recent Marvel Avengers video game. You pushed Kamala Khan as the main character, and the game bombed.
Yes, and they've rebooted the comic a bazillion times because it wasn't good.
Because nobody likes her!
Yes, people on Twitter talk about her. Congratulations, you do know how Twitter works, right? No? Okay, well that's your problem.
And with that, we move on to our diagnosis of the week!
So the diagnosis of this week is one we actually haven't used before, but I thought that was pretty good for this week.
Do tell.
So the diagnosis of this week is imposter syndrome.
Please explain.
So imposter syndrome is a psychological pattern in which individuals doubt their skills and talents and accomplishments, and they have this persistent internalized fear of being exposed. Wait a minute, how does this relate to this week? I'll explain. Literally what these people do is they try to kind of project and make themselves look more accomplished than ever, but they're really so doubtful of their skills that they're trying to push themselves and make themselves seem like better. Oh, we're one of you. We are on your side. We want all this good stuff. But in reality, they're all just terrified of being outed as the hypocrites that they really are. For example, Disney's a very good example of that. So is, Lucasfilm, all this kind of stuff. And with all these characters they're pushing, right? How much do you want to bet America Chavez is going to be shrunk down on the poster for Multiverse of Madness to appease China?
Very likely.
Because they're hypocrites. So they are literally the definition of imposters because they're hiding behind, oh, look at this. But really, in reality, their skills are terrible. They know they're terrible, and they're terrified of someone seeing through the facade and realizing what they really are. And guess what? We do. So you've been exposed, but I think that this imposter syndrome fits very well for this week.
I completely agree.
And now we move on to the remedy of the week. And we have a nice one for you this week.
Our friend, Mr. Bug. He does reviews on things such as Batwoman and other Marvel and superhero things that might otherwise be bad. Or that are bad, I should say. And he goes around with a shovel hacking up their action figures because he hates them so much. So if you want to watch honest reviews of comics, of shows, of movies, go follow our friend Mr. Bug. Let him know that Gothic Therapy referred you, and don't forget to bring a shovel. You may need to hide the bodies.
Yeah, very true. And yeah, that's all we have for this week. Let us know what you think in the comments below, and also make sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe with notifications on so you do not miss your weekly therapy session.
Or you will be charged. Also, follow us both on Twitter at Master of the TDS and at WritingRaven2. Follow my husband on Twitch, Minds, and Instagram at Master of the TDS. We also have an Instagram for our YouTube channel at yt.gothic.therapy, and follow me on Wattpad at GothicWriter613 for well-written stories that have no wokeness, no pandering, no shipping, and are actually respectful to the source material. You can find our Discord, The Clinic, in the link in the description down below.
Yeah, so as I said, that's all we have for this week, and we'll see you guys in the next one.
Gothic Therapy,